Jojo Mayer, welcome to BeatIt.tv, the Polish drummers website. Thank you very much for taking time to talk to us, especially on this busy day with a busy schedule.
Yeah.
So, if you could tell our viewers why you're here and what you're doing today in Wrocław, Poland.
Oh, well, the promoter of the event, Bond, I've been collaborating with him for a very long time, or about 10 years. And also the former producer, Rolly Mosimon, who I worked with for many, many years in New York, has been living here for a couple of years. So at the occasion of a Bond is organizing the festival, he invited us to come here and play a show with my band Nerve, and also a collaboration with some other artists that we're gonna see how it's gonna play out. And it's a great location. We play at the Opera, but we don't play. The audience is actually on stage with us, which is nice.
Exactly. So this is a reversed kind of a situation, right? The band is in the audience, and the audience is going to be standing on stage, right? How was the rehearsals today? What did you think of that kind of configuration?
It was interesting. You know, it was more like we try to, calibrate and navigate with the sound and stuff like that. So we didn't really play, work on musical concepts. So we'll see what's going to happen. It's still very improvisational and a lot of surprises, I guess.
Did you think maybe of maybe utilizing some unusual stuff in your arsenal of instruments just for this unusual occasion, like a different type of cymbals or something like that?
No, I use the same stuff that I use with my group. Yeah.
Nerve is, as I've been following, on the internet, Nerve is on tour right now, right? How much of it is it already through, and what's going to happen next with Nerve or your solo stuff?
Okay, well, this is actually the last gig of this. It was a very short tour. Like we toured Europe earlier. We're going back to New York, and we're working on another record right now. And I made a movie with Charlie Yuki, astronaut from Apollo 17, that is going to premiere next week. So the band is also to a certain degree involved into that project. So we're going to play some shows in New York, and then in December we are going to tour in Asia.
And what's happening next with your solo stuff, like clinics or those kinds of events?
Well, I'm not really doing a lot of clinics these days. Because there's so much other things happening right now. Production. I do movie soundtracks. I'm working on another movie about architecture this winter. But I will do a solo performance and a lecture at the Wired event in London on November 2nd, I think, 2nd or 3rd. So, which is more like a keynote speech and a demonstration of some of the concept that come from, in the face of like robotization that our society is facing, which is something that this is something that I faced 20 years, or every drummer faced about 25 years ago or 30 years ago when like drum machines came. So to find a way how to deal with the imminent replacement by a machine, is a little bit on the core of my philosophy, and negotiate what it means, or how legitimate it is to be a human performer, and how long this is still valid before we're going to be replaced by a machine.
You think it's inevitable? Actually.
I'm sorry?
You think it's inevitable, the fact that we're going to be replaced?
It depends on what you do. I think taxi drivers are going to be replaced. People that work on banks are going to be replaced.
What about drummers?
Well, it really depends on what it is that you do with the drums. I think the drums is a communication instrument. If you communicate something and it's just an instrument, really. It depends on what you do with it, and like the drums always changed over the course of, like, say, like the last 100 years. The drum is very, very old. It's as old as civilizations, like the wheel. As long as languages, we have drums. But the drum set is a very particular instrument that kind of came with economic and cultural changes in, like, America. So first we didn't have a drum set, but we have a snare drum player and a cymbal player and the bass drum player, and with the dance bands, and then with vaudeville it was consolidated to a single person that played all the different instruments. So that was kind of like the beginning of the drum set, and William F. Ludwig kind of mass-produced the first bass drum pedal, which was really the birth of, like, the drum set. But then vaudeville had a crisis because of Hollywood, because of silent movies, so drummers were out of their jobs. And then drummers find a new job, not playing in the orchestral pit, but playing for silent movies, making, like, the sounds. So, like, the drum set started to grow, and they had tempo blocks where they imitate, like, the horses galloping, like, and guns and stuff like that. And all these things became a part of, like, the arsenal of, like, the drummer. And then when movies started to have sound, with the innovation of, like, sound recording, that job became obsolete. But then with sound recording and radio, it was the birth of, like, jazz. So the whole creativity somehow reincarnated in this art form. So, and it is always going, like, drums is a very modern instrument. So now we're at the crossroads where we're entering the technological age, where we have to think about, okay, with electronic drums, to have electronic drums simulate the setup of an acoustic drum set is kind of stupid, like it's a limitation, as there was much more things that we could do. So where it's going to go has only to do not with the limitations or the possibilities of, like, technology, but more with our imagination on where we want to take it, So we will see where it's going to go.
Do you think there is hope, though, for the future?
Well, if there was not hope, I would not make an interview with you, but I would kind of hang at the beach or watch television,
True. Absolutely right. I agree. So there is hope. Yes. Good.
Look, okay, a lot of things are going to change, right? But there's some things we will not change. One of the things is, like, our need to communicate, and as I'm saying, drums is a communication instrument, and if we use it to communicate something, and if we communicate something important, that if we share, if we share, the bad things about life, or the good things about life, or the funny things, or the ironic things, or the political things, or the beauty, or the ugly. But as long as we share, and we make it interesting to share, someone will want to listen to us, because one of the main reasons for music to exist is because it makes people feel less lonely, it unites people. So if we are able to do that with drumming, then I think we build something cultural, if we're going the athletic avenue of, like, being the fastest or most vocabulary, or these tangible things, then I think the drum set will die very soon. I don't think anyone will be interested in it anymore. I mean, what's happening right now, it's a big crisis. Because there are no more bands, and people don't know how to communicate with each other, so they play on YouTube, make play Slipknot covers and stuff like that, you know, and because they haven't really found out, or they don't have the confidence to create something new. And we live in a cultural climate of extreme insecurity. Culturally, you know, people are very insecure about, you know, they need reconfirmation by, you know, how many likes do I have, you know, and they feel they don't have a sense of self-value, and you know, this is what music is about, you know, and you have to take a stance and go like, this is what rock and roll is about. You go like, oh, I don't like this, I want to change this, you know, and that's what rock and roll is. So we need a little bit of this, you know.
It's true, and as even, you know, when talking to pros, especially drummers, they say, oh, there's not enough work for us in America, we have to go over to Europe or Japan or Asia to work. European drummers dreaming of going to America and work, you know, and stuff. So there's lots of confusion even in that.
Well, look, you know, you have to change things now, you know. There's one thing, like, you know, I think the music industry is finished. What we experience right now is an echo of the 20th century. We don't really have a music business. We have some weird thing, you know, like, and real art is not happening there. You know, we don't have people in mainstream culture that are like David Bowie or Pink Floyd or Frank Zappa, or
pushing the limits, changing the situation.
I mean, you know, there are some people, you know, like James Blake, you know, but the mainstream is not like this anymore. Like the mainstream is really plastic right now. So we need something like rock and roll again, you know, and I think a true artist never adapts. A true artist, a true artist don't adapt to the world. A true artist changes the world. So we need the people with confidence wherever they are. They don't have to be in New York. They can be in Krakow or in Düsseldorf or in the small city, to find people, to build communities and find solutions, you know, for it. And I think the drums is a good way to do it. You know, it's just, maybe it's going to be different than what we did last century, but to hit something and create a reaction, I think still works, you know.
Okay. Don't want to take up any more of your time because the show is coming up very soon. So thank you for this insight, and hopefully we'll see you some other time. Thank you.